Hey everybody, this is Jeremy with the Practical IT channel. Today we're going to take a look at installing the Minorca Backup Client on Ubuntu Desktop. Let's get started. Okay, here we are on the Ubuntu Desktop. We'll launch Firefox. Alright, we'll bring up minarca.org. We'll go to the download and we'll grab the Ubuntu install file for Kinetic. We'll get that downloaded. All right. So there are two ways that you can install this. If we go to our file manager, we can go to downloads and we can right click on Minarca and say open with software install. That will bring up the graphical method for installing. The other way we can do it is open up a terminal, move to downloads, list our files, and we can install using dpackage. Sudo dpackage-i for install, Minorca Client 4.5.0, AMD 64 Deb. Supply the password, and we've got that installed. If we open our menu and type Minarca, we can launch Minorca Backup, and the rest is just like setting up the Windows client. We need to supply the IP address of the server with the port 8080, and then supply the username and password and sign in. All right, this should look familiar from here. Select files. Users documents is the only thing selected currently. So we will go ahead and start backup. And our backup has completed. There's honestly not much on this machine right now. So if we jump back to Firefox and go to our server, we'll log in with the user we created and sign in. And you can see we've got our Linux machine, our Ubuntu machine right here. You can see home and the user, documents, and the three files that are in the documents folder. Like I said, there's not much on this machine yet. And if we look at the dashboard, we can now see that there are two machines. Desktop 335 blah 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 is our Windows machine, and the 7040 NVMe is the Ubuntu machine. And that's really all there is to doing a Minarca backup. As you can see on schedule backup, this is set to backup once a day. The one thing that I wish this had was the ability to set a custom frequency. And of course, you could probably do that in a configuration file. So we might take a look at that in another video. Of course, settings, we can disconnect the backup. It's already showing as up to date. And of course, there's help available, which brings you up to the Minarca page. You can access the documentation from here. Pretty slick. So if we look at configuration, this appears to be mostly for the Minarca server. Although, if we scroll down a bit, we may find some information that pertains to us. But like I said, it looks like most of this pertains mainly to the server. But if we search for Windows, we don't find anything. Mac turns up nothing as well. I believe this to be correct, that most of this information is for the server. So we'll jump into a little bit deeper dive in a future video and play with some customizations on this demo server just to make sure that I leave my production or semi-production version of my Minarca server up and running, and I don't add any issues to that by experimenting. So jumping around on their site, if you look at service providers, there is an option available for people who want to use this for a business and specifically roll this out. And they make that information available. I think this could be an interesting prospect, although I'm not yet ready to jump into that arena yet. We've got our features. There are a lot of screenshots here. As you can see, we've got a bunch of machines in this screenshot all backing up, and they are using most of the space on that particular server. So in all honesty, if I were to roll this out in production for a longer term use, I would likely separate the backups directory onto a separate drive and be able to monitor from there. So as I mentioned in the previous video on Minarca, I am looking at this as a potential solution for my day job because we don't have a great solution in place at the moment. And this will allow me to implement something that I can document along the way and make sure that everything is backed up easily and consistently and go from there. Pretty cool software. I'm pretty impressed with what I'm seeing so far. It's easy to use. It's been stable other than a couple of crashes on my M1 Mac, but so far so good on Linux and Windows. Obviously, I will be doing additional testing before I commit to rolling this out in production at my day job, but this will likely get used at home in parallel with the backup software on my Synology NAS. And where that backup software is backing up my main Mac completely, this Monarca is going to focus strictly on my documents, which in all honesty are my most important files on the computer. And I don't tend to worry too much about video files because push comes to shove, I can grab a copy off from YouTube, and even though it will be lower quality than the original file, it's still something to work with. Alright everybody, if you're using an Ubuntu machine, specifically an Ubuntu Desktop machine, what do you think about Minarca? Is this a solution that you would try in your environment? Let me know down in the comments. And while you're at it, take a moment to like the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and every little bit helps push my content and get it to a wider audience. And on that note, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.